Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming in today or being online. We appreciate you guys coming over. So just so you guys know, I'll just give you kind of a brief little overview about what we're gonna do today, what we're gonna review. So we're gonna go over a brief overview of available food licenses. We're also gonna go over some tools and resources that will help you through the application process. We will also talk about required documents. Keep in mind, every license has its own individual documents that are required for that specific license type. So not all of them may apply to you. We're going to go over how to apply. And then we're going to go through a little Q&A where you'll be able to ask questions if you have any. And then at the end of the session and presentation, if you guys would like to stick around and are ready to apply, then you can get one-on-one assistance if you're here in person for us to help you through that process while you're here, okay? Sorry, clicking is. All right. So I'll just kind of give you guys a little breakdown. So what is a retail food license? Okay, so retail food is an operation that stores, prepares, packages, or provides food for sale and human consumption to consumers directly or through a delivery service. Food can be both consumed on or off premise. And then we have wholesale, which is an establishment that's engaged in the business of selling at wholesale. Processing, storing, handling, or packaging of food intended for human consumption, okay? Please do note, this is a very important little note, that if you sell food products directly to consumers at retail and you also sell at wholesale, you are not required to have both a retail and a wholesale license. For that same location, you would just get licensed in the license that gives you more revenue, okay? And still be able to do both. All right, so for our food license types, okay? The first one that we have for review is the food peddler, okay? So these are the people that you see at games that are carrying around a cooler. They might have burritos, sodas. So those are the food peddlers. We have a restaurant temporary, okay? So for those of you that have a restaurant license that are planning to participate at an event, whether it be St. Patty's Day, event or market, whatever the case may be. And then we have retail food, okay? Retail food kind of encompasses a couple of things. So the retail food could be a restaurant. For example, if you have your own storefront, so that would be under retail food. And then retail food caterer. So that's for the person that is prepping the food and then delivering it to either a venue or to a person. And then we have retail food commissary based, okay? So this is any retailer selling directly to consumers that does not, that does their food processing at a commissary, okay? So for this one, the examples include what we used to call a stand-up, where you're just reheating the food and putting it together and giving it to the customer. And then we have the retail food mobile licenses. And of course, that involves your food trucks, that involves your push carts, and all that good stuff. All right, and then if you're doing wholesale, if you're applying for a wholesale license, so food wholesale is any establishment engaged in the business of selling at wholesale, processing, storing, or handling and prepackaging of any food intended for human consumption. So in this one's like if you're providing, goods to either like King Soopers and stuff like that. All right. Wholesale food commissary. So this one is if you have a, this is for the actual commissary itself, okay? If you're operating a commissary kitchen where other businesses are coming, they're prepping their food at your commissary, this is the license that you would apply for. All right, so we're gonna go over a couple of resources for you guys that will help you if you have any questions on how to get what type of license should I get, right? Because our licenses changed. And then the food handling examples. So now, for those of you that are not familiar and are new to applying for a food license, before we used to charge you a flat fee for the food license application and for the actual license. Now we've changed things up a little bit. And so you're charged your fee depending on the food handling processes, okay? And so you can select as little or as many as you need from that bit right there. All right, so our website offers this great tool. Okay, so you can find this directly on our website on our food licenses page. So the retail food handling examples goes into detail. Okay, so it talks about cooking raw meat. Are you cooking it? Are you just reheating it? So it talks about that. And so this little PDF kind of talks about what those food processes are broken down as. So if you go into that form and look into it, it's going to tell you you're able to select multiple of those processes. And if you don't know, like you're looking at it and you're like, I don't fall particularly under any of these categories, please do note that you would have to select scooping ice. So you have to select at the minimum of 1. And if you feel like none of those processes match what you do in your kitchen, you would just select scooping of ice. We've actually gotten together with health, and that's what they've advised us that people should be selecting. So just kind of keep an eye out for that, okay? If you don't find something specific to you, then you would just select at the minimum this one. All right, so our food application type flow chart. This is another really neat tool, okay? We had a lot of licenses before. So if you're not new to this and you had like a stand up and now you're like, I don't know exactly where I fall under in this new process, this chart will help you. If you are new to the process, this chart will also help you by answering a series of yes or no questions. This was actually put together by health. And so by answering a series of yes or no questions, it should narrow down for you the type of licenses, or if not, the license that you need. And this is also available on our website. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about application fees. And so just so everybody knows, for the application fees, we're always going to have an application fee if you're new to the licensing. So if it's the first time applying, it's a completely new license, you're going to be charged your one-time application fee. And then, of course, every license has its own licensing fees. So these, if you're renewing, you're just going to be paying the license fees, not the application fees. If you're applying new, completely don't have a business license, you would get charged both for the first time you apply, and then just the one after that when you renew. All right, so as I said before, each license has its own set of required documents that are required for that specific license, okay? So at the bottom of each license page under the required documents tab, you're going to be able to see, and I'll move over a little bit. But if you scroll towards the bottom of the page, you'll only see this with a little plus sign in the corner there. But under required documents, you're able to expand that and you'll see the list of documents that are required for that license type. All right, so now speaking of some of the documents that are required for each license, right? Some of these might not apply for your license type, okay? But we're just doing an overview of these. So a soil use permit, this one tends to be honestly one of the ones that takes the longest to obtain. Especially if you're applying completely new and you're not zoned for that, it might take a little bit longer for you. So please be aware of that. And then we have a link here that will take you to that. We got your email address, so we can send you a PDF version of these, and these are all gonna be clickable links that you can access. All right, we also have a possession of property certificate. This one's essentially in replacement of a lease agreement. If you have a lease agreement, you can provide that. Please do make sure that when you do provide a lease, so your lease has to be under your entity name. Okay, so if you're applying under Paco's Tacos LLC, then the lease needs to be between your landlord and Paco's Tacos LLC. Okay, so that's very important. Again, you can provide the possession of property certificate in lieu of the lease, and you would just have to sign that with your landlord. We talk about your entity type, okay? So you guys are able to, there's different types of entities, right? I can be a sole proprietor, meaning that everything's under my name. I can have an LLC, I can have a corporation, okay? It's your responsibility to know what type of entity you are. And so please, we do have some more information on our website that kind of talks about what each entity is, okay? But we're not able to give you legal advice, so we want you to come to us with that information already, okay? And then we want to make sure that you apply under the true name or entity or the person, right? That owns that business. So if my entity is an LLC and I'm applying as Paco's Tacos, right? Then I'm applying as that entity, as an LLC. If I'm applying as a sole proprietor, as for example, Noemi, right? Then I would go ahead and I would use my name as it appears on my ID, right? Because that is me owning the property or the business by myself. And then we're gonna also request, so if you have those big major LLCs, we have a lot of people that have, you know, shares, for example, okay? So please keep in mind that if you have an LLC, a corporation, or anything like that, you do have to have some details on anybody that owns 10% or more. This includes yourself. So if you own 50% of the business, okay, then that includes you as well. So not just anybody that owns 10% of the business, but you as well. If you own 100% of the LLC, then you need to provide your information as ownership information, okay? All right, and then we also need a Denver sales tax license. So through the application process, it's going to ask you, do you have a Denver sales tax license? If you answer yes, okay, you have to upload the Denver sales tax license and provide the number. So please make sure that you have that, okay? If you're planning on getting one right now and you want to do that, that's downstairs on the first floor. And then we're also going to ask you, okay, if you're renewing, but you're bringing your application online. So for example, you, sir, you had your application. And so if you're bringing it online, you have to apply new, but there's going to be a question that's going to ask you, do you currently, are you currently licensed in Denver? And so what we're referring to is is this business already licensed in Denver? Right? So if you're renewing and you're not new to the licensing, it's going to ask you to answer that question. You're going to either answer yes or no. If you answer yes, it's going to ask you to provide a copy of your current business license, and then we treat it. So you still have to provide all the documents, but you don't pay application fees, okay? And then if you're operating, for example, a food mobile, or out of a commissary, you're gonna be asked to provide an affidavit of commissary, and that can be completed by, it has to be completed by you and your commissary. The public health application, this is actually a PDF that's on our website, and if it's required for your license, you can just click on the website go in there and print it straight from there. And it's also an online fillable document that you can edit. If you are doing a food mobile, you're also going to be needed to provide either a propane permit or an exemption letter, okay? So the propane permit allows you to have use of either gas, and so the fire department goes out, inspects your unit and says, okay, yeah, everything's good, everything's safe, and they give you your propane permit. Or if you don't have a propane tank in that unit, then they would provide you with an exemption letter saying that you do not have one and you do not need one, and you have to get one every year. As I said, these are active links, and we will be emailing out the presentation, okay? But we gave you guys some resources, okay? So if you have an LLC, a corporation, and you're already established with the Secretary of State, we have a link here that you can click on and get those entity documents that you're going to need for your application. You're just going to click on that link, type in the name of your entity, whether it's Paco's Tacos or whatever the name is, and hit search. And it should pull up the documents that you need, and you're able to print those off and bring them in, or just upload them straight from your computer, okay? The city sales tax webpage. So this one's again to obtain a Denver sales tax license. And so you're able to do that online. You can also go here in the Wellington Web Building, first floor in Treasury. You can request one there. We also put zoning information. So we gave you guys a phone number and an email address for them. For the possession of property certificate, again, that one is just on our website, okay? And that's pretty much needed for all of the licenses. We need you to have some kind of lease or agreement if you own the property. And so that is in lieu of an actual lease. So if you want to provide your lease, that's totally fine. If you are applying, okay, this is very important. A lot of people get hung up in this area. And so it's very important that you note. So your address, if it has a unit number, it has to be exact and it has to be found in the system. Okay. So if my address is 201 West Colfax, unit 206, and I can only see unit 708, okay, I have to make sure that I reach out to addressing to ensure that they have 206 and I'm not clicking 708, because if there's another business there, then that person either can't apply because now you're applying in the incorrect address, or you know, when they go and do inspections, they're going to be like, well, your unit doesn't match. So it's very important to keep this in mind. So this is the information for addressing. And so if you can't find your address in the system, reach out to them, they will add it and you can move forward from there. And then if you're at the airport, for those businesses that are at the airport, we also have, they have their own addressing system. And so you would have to reach out to them to have them add it if there's a specific unit that's also not found in the addressing system. All right, so the applications are available in the permitting center, okay? And these links are also on the website. As you read through the instructions, you'll see this link. You will need to create an account if you're completely new to the city, you don't have a license, you will need to create an account. If you already have an account, maybe you've already applied for a propane permit or for something else, you might already have access to this. So you'll just sign in and then start applying, okay? We do have step-by-step instructional videos on our website that walk you through the process of applying. And so those are available for every food license type, and they're a really great resource if you need some additional information, okay? All right, so once you create your account in the permitting center, okay, this is an actual screenshot of the landing page, okay? If you have some stuff that you maybe might have already started applying or anything like that, You might find it right here at the bottom. But you're just gonna select on home, and that'll take you to where you need to go in order to start the application process. So once you hit home, it's gonna take you to this landing page. And this landing page here is gonna have a couple different services that the city offers that you might already be familiar with because you applied for something else. But you want to go to business and occupational licensing, and then you're gonna click on apply new. This is another place where people get stuck on oftentimes. They kind of see that we have a couple of licenses listed out, but we don't have all the licenses listed. And they're like, oh my gosh, what do I select? Where do I go? Okay. So if you're not applying for a restaurant temporary, a retail food license, caterer, a mobile, or a temporary restaurant event, towards the bottom, you're going to see where it says all other online business licenses. And this was actually updated on our website. And it now also includes retail food in the verbiage in there. But a lot of people could not find it. So just make sure you scroll towards the bottom and you'll see it there. You're going to click and continue. All right. So once you click and continue, it's going to take you to another list of other licenses that you can apply through the selection. And this is where you'll find the rest of those food licenses. You're just going to hit continue application to move forward. Again, as I said before, a lot of people struggle with this section here, which is where you find your address, right? And so it's very important that when you are typing in, it's going to ask you for your street number. It doesn't ask you for direction, and it doesn't ask you for street type. It'll only ask for the street name. If you have a unit number, you can type in the unit number to narrow things down and then hit search. You're going to get a list of the available addresses at that location, right? So if you have a unit number, it'll have a unit number here on these listings. If you cannot find your exact match, this is the part where you reach out to addressing and have them add the unit number or have them add the address that's not listed. All right. Every license is required to do inspections depending on the type of license that you guys are applying for, okay? So these are a list of really all of our inspections. So some might not apply to you, so don't expect to see all of these on your list. But once you're done submitting your application, we have everything. It's gonna go on to the next step, which is those inspections. So our techs will email you or give you, if you came in person, they'll email you an inspection card, okay? And it'll tell you, you need to call these people to schedule your inspections. And so one of them is obviously the Department of Health, Development Services. We have Denver Fire. And then we have Denver Fire for mobiles, okay? That's very different than the regular Denver Fire. And then we have zoning inspections, okay? As I said before, we do have online training videos. And then we also have this new resource for everybody, guys. If you are going through the application process and you hit a snag, we have virtual appointments now available. We realize that it can get expensive to come down and pay. So we can do this from the comfort of your home. You just log into your computer. We actually do what's called the screen share. And so we're able to see what you see. And so it's a very neat little tool that we now offer. And so you're able to book those online, and they're 15 to 30-minute appointments where we can, get you past that hurdle, and then you can continue on your way if you just needed something quick and simple, okay? No, that's okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to questions. This is our contact information, guys. This has both my email and Jamie, my other operational supervisor partner. And so these are direct phone line, emails that you get directly to us. So if you have any questions, concerns, we can try to help you and kind of maneuver through that. Does anybody have any questions?
Essentially, we already have a license. It stayed the same. We just streamlined it differently.
So,
So we have a question in the room. So the question on in the room is, if you already have a license, this is just streamlining the process. Just a clarification on that.
so this is, so we're moving all of our applications online, okay? And so this is a great opportunity for us to get up to code and get up to speed with everything, you know. Once you have your business established, we don't really request a lot of the things that we have been for new businesses. And so now that we're moving online, this is a great time for us to kind of catch up with the times, make sure everybody has everything registered, everything's good to go. And so it's really the process of moving it online and simplifying things for renewals. In the future, we hope that you guys are just able to log in and click renew and send that over to us, and then it gets renewed. So, you know, kind of removes a lot of the paperwork and all that good stuff.
So I've had it online in the past, but I always struggled with getting my commissary affidavit figured out. So I've had to come in, so we don't have to come in for that to have it signed anymore.
Yeah, so health actually changed that. So the affidavit of commissary, unless you're a food peddler, you do not need an affidavit of commissary that's signed. Obviously, you still need to make sure that's completely filled out with your information and the commissary's information. So as long as you have that and that looks good to, you know, it's completely filled out, then we won't be sending that back to you. You don't need that signature from health.
Oh, so we won't need that step. Okay.
Yeah, so if you still need to provide the
Right.
affidavit, but you don't need to have the signature from health.
Anybody else, any questions in the room, or we'll go to the chat for the virtual questions? Okay, so we have a question. Trying to register for a new account, but I haven't got the verification code since I asked. I don't know where the verification code is. So we can probably help you with your question. We can take this one offline and look at what you're trying to do. You shouldn't need a verification code for the online account, but we can double check that you're on the right site.
Yeah.
I don't know of a
verification.
I don't know of a verification
If you go in
code.
there into the permitting center and it asks you to create an account, if you just created it, it shouldn't ask you for a verification code unless you forgot your password or something like that. Then you can do the reset password steps. But we can definitely look at it if you continue to have issues. Like I said, the permitting center, you can get off of our website. You can just click on that link. But yeah, it shouldn't ask you for a verification code. I'm not sure where you're at right now.
And then the next question, can you explain the difference between restaurant temporary and temporary restaurant event?
So restaurant temporary is the license that a restaurant needs to participate in an event, and the other one is needed by the event holder.
And I think that this is the same question. So restaurant temporary and temporary restaurant event. So one, it sounds like the restaurant gets, and then the other one, the event holder.
Yeah, the one that has
gets.
event is for the event host.
The next question is, what if a building is already zoned correctly? Does there still need to be an inspection?
Yeah, so if it's a new license, you would still go through inspections.
If anyone has a hand up, I don't see any other hands up or questions in the chat. Any other questions in the room? It looks like we have one more question in the room.
Back to the temporary, restaurant temporary. So I work out of commissary and I sell at farmers markets. That's the restaurant temporary, right?
Yeah, the restaurant temporary allows you to work events.
Okay, and my last question, the paperwork you need for the LLC from the Colorado state, what paperwork documents they require?
So they're usually organizational documents. The easiest one that people usually provide is the certificate of good standing.
Okay,
And so, like I said, it'll be in that link that we email you guys. You can just type in your entity name. You can provide organizational documents. So if you're an LLC or or a corporation, you might provide organizational documents of how your organization operates. But like I said, usually we just
So
get a
just
certificate of good standing.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need to provide one of those.
Okay.
Okay, it looks like we have a hand up, Nathaniel Taylor. If you can come off mute, you can ask your question. We weren't sure earlier if folks were able to unmute themselves. I don't see how I can, but let me check. I tried to do that. Nathaniel, I'm not sure how we can unmute you and let you talk. If you can post your question in the Q&A. So we have two more in the Q&A. We'll go to those and then we'll look for yours, Nathaniel, in the chat. So the next question is, I have a client who is selling a product, baked goods, in Denver, but their commissary is outside of Denver. Which license do they apply for? I thought it would be the retail food commissary based.
So we're unable to provide you legal advice, and so we can't really tell you what license to apply for, unfortunately, which is why we provided that flow chart. You would go through that flow chart, and if that's the license that it leads you to, then that's what you can apply for. But unfortunately, I cannot tell you what license to apply for.
And then the next question that we have is a commissary address isn't accepted for the retail food commissary based application. So I'm assuming that you're meaning that your address isn't coming up in the system. So if it's not a Denver address, it won't come up. And then if you need addressing help, you can contact addressing to make sure that your address is an assigned Denver address. And then it looks like the next question is related to an account expired. So you have to start from scratch, can't get a new password because of some security question. So from Stephen Bolter, so we might want to follow up with you one-on-one. So if you want to either reach out to us on the email that we have provided, or otherwise, if you want to give us your email here in the chat, if you don't want to do that, like I said, you can follow up with us offline and we can reset that password for you if we can find the account. Okay, and you said yes, so we'll look for that email from you. Any other questions? Oh, we got your email, so we can look that up and try to reset the password and send that to you. Any other questions in the room or online? Okay, and I see your other email here. So we'll take those and follow up with you on those. If no other questions, we'll probably end the Zoom portion of this. And just a reminder, we have those online appointments. We have the food retail page with all of this information. There's also a recorded version of the presentation if you want to watch that. And then obviously our contact information if you want to reach out. That's where you can also find all of these forms, the food process document and the application type flow chart. Oh, we had one more question pop up. Just to reiterate, so for a renew, do you need to do the inspections again?
So if you're a renewal and you're already licensed at the address that you're applying for, you do not need to redo inspections, but you do need to provide all the new documents that are required.
Okay. And I'll look up this other email address and then I think with that, we'll let everybody go if there's no other questions. Any last takers? I don't think so. Oh, okay. Hold on. You keep on popping them in there right as I'm about to say goodbye. Okay, so. Oh, hold on. We have a question in the room about expiration dates. How soon can we apply before it expires?
So you are able to start applying 90 days before your license expires. Obviously, we recommend that you want to start as early as possible. because you want to make sure you have all those required documents. You might not have all of them if you're an existing business. So you want to get started earlier than that.
And then the last question we have in the chat is, do we apply before any permitting? We might need more clarification on that question. Not sure what you mean there. I'm not sure what the name is on this one, Leland, or if you have any additional info on this, we're not sure what you mean on this question. And then we have one more. I have applied for a retail food mobile. It keeps getting notice of delinquency due to zoning, saying my cart falls under the fair use zoning. Then my cart app shows it needs to be a temporary use permit food truck with hours.
So that's not, that's something that might be with zoning because we actually don't send out any notifications of delinquency due to zoning. So you might want to reach out to zoning. And again, that their contact information is provided on one of the slides because we actually don't have anything to do with that one.
And then, okay, so the follow-up to the earlier question. So this application process before any building permitting or construction.
So no, you want to make sure you already have the establishment built before you apply.
So building permitting and construction and then licensing, but reach out to us if you have questions about maybe more specifics on the timelines or what you're asking about there. Okay, I'm going to try one more time to say if anyone has any final questions. We'll hang out for 1 second. Okay, we will go ahead and end the Zoom meeting now. Thanks everybody for joining us. And thanks, Noemi. And if you have any other questions, please contact us.